Yep, you read the title right. I one time got fired from my job and got someone else fired with me. Welcome back to Storytime Episode 2. We are here on the Terrascape SMP, and typically for these story times, I try to keep Terrascape and the Storytime videos separate. However, I want to build this building right behind me, and unfortunately, Snow is unavailable, so we're going to have to combine the two for this one. At the end of the last Storytime episode, I said this.
Alright guys, if he can get over 100 views on this video, he can come back for a part 2.
Hell yeah, 100 views. And thankfully, that episode did end up getting over 100 views, which means that we are back for Storytime episode number 2. This Storytime is going to be a little bit different though, because I already have a build that I want to make, and I'm not just going to be freehanding it instead. I am going to be using a schematic, because this entire town, like I've mentioned many times before, myself, Marcel, and Matthew built it in a creative testing world, and now we're in the process of making it on here. This also will allow me to kind of turn off my brain a little bit more and be more relaxed while I'm telling these very interesting stories. But with that, I think it is time to go ahead and get started. I am also going to turn off shaders because the shaders and the schematics don't really go that well. So, ready, set, back to normal. So, starting with the first story, this is how I one time got fired from my job. I think I was about a junior in high school, I'm pretty sure, so about 4 years ago. And I used to work at a parkour and gymnastics gym. And at this point, I had been working there for maybe 5 years or so, and I became very well known with the owner of this gym. I've been a student there for a couple years, and a coach for maybe about 2 at this point. So yeah, I had been there a couple years, pretty good friends with the owner, nothing too bad, you know, all on good terms. And one day, I decided that it would be a fun idea to, you know, do like an overnight session at this gym. It had been done many times before. There are other coaches there that have done it. It was no big deal. And so I was, you know, I think I was 18 at the time. So, you know, it was, you know, I can stay overnight at the gym. It was, you know, that part wasn't the issue. The issue was I wanted to invite some of the other coaches who weren't 18. They were like, I don't know, 16, like 2 years younger or something. And so it was myself, one of my good friends, Sam, if you're watching, I know you're watching. I know you are, because you're going to text me about this later. He was also there as well. Both of us were 18, and the other 2 coaches that we wanted to invite were 2 years younger. And we just wanted to do like an overnight training session because another coach who is a couple years older than us did that with some of his friends. So we're like, oh, you know, it'd be fun if we do the same thing. You know, kind of like a sleepover at the gym, you know, like a non-official event, just, you know, hang out, train, do some flips, you know, I can do parkour, I can do flips. So we asked the owner, and, you know, she's all right with it. As long as we don't break anything, you know, we've all known her for years and years and years now. She knows that we're not gonna, like, tear the place down, but she was a little iffy about it. It did, however, take a good amount of convincing, though. So on some probably, you know, Saturday or Friday night, we all head to the gym, the 4 of us, and starts out pretty normal. We start doing flips. We, you know, nobody gets hurt. We're just hanging out, training, no big deal. It's honestly really fun too. But eventually we start to get tired and start asking ourselves, well, what's something that we can wake ourselves up with? Like, what can we do to wake ourselves up? And so we grab a bunch of pool noodles from the storage closet, and we're like, yo, let's blindfold ourselves and, you know, just start whacking each other with them, right? Like, surely that'll wake us up. You know, we're all guys. You know, that's something guys do, I guess, is just start whacking each other. That sounds so bad. So we do end up roughhousing it a little bit. We don't break anything, but it does kind of get a little intense, I guess. Not really. We didn't think anything of it at the time, but the next day, I get a pretty serious text from the old boss, and she is she was pissed. She was not happy with how we were using the gym, and that we were not showing that we were being very responsible with the equipment and whatnot, which fair, I guess, but I also think that it was kind of a bit of a overreaction We didn't break anything. Nobody got hurt. It was all fine. But I mean, I guess we weren't really using the equipment for what it was used for, blah, blah, blah. So she was pissed. She was not happy. She did not like what we were doing. But I kind of shrugged it off as no big deal because to me, it didn't really feel like a big deal. It kind of just felt a bit of an overreaction. And this is also not where I got fired, by the way. A couple days go by, and the economics class that I am a part of, we were doing a project where we had to basically make a commercial for a business. I don't know why. It was kind of a weird project thinking about it, but that was the project. I decided, you know, I work at a gym, I work at a business, I might as well make a commercial for it. However, I'm very good at procrastinating, and it's like a couple days before the project is due, and I have nothing. So I get the same group of guys from last time, and I figured it'll be okay because, you know, we've already been at the gym alone before. You know, why don't we just go and shoot a quick commercial? It's no big deal. But I still do ask the owner if we can, you know, shoot this commercial. Just like a quick 5 minutes in and out, no big deal. But like I said, this thing needed to be due like now. So a couple hours go by after asking the manager if we can shoot this commercial at the gym, you know, during closed hours, and I hear nothing. And I'm like, crap, I really need this to be done. Like we gotta go, you know. We end up going to the gym without permission and shooting this commercial. Keep in mind, she was already, you know, sort of pissed at us because of a couple nights before. At that point, I didn't care. I needed this thing done. So we go, we shoot the commercial. You know, we just get some clips. You know, no big deal. We didn't do anything wrong besides being there without permission. However, the owner shows up and sees us there, knowing very well that she did not say yes. She ended up actually seeing the message, but she was still mad about the night before and didn't say yes or no. She just full on did not answer. And I forgot that the place had security cameras, so she knew that we were there without permission. And I don't think I have ever seen anybody so mad in my life. So we get kicked out. We get kicked out of the place. And since I am, I don't want to say the leader, it was my idea. It was like everybody was there because of me. So I get the text messages. I, you know, have to deal with this now. And after a lot of texts back and forth, I get fired. She fires me. You know, I've been a student there for probably 4 years at this point. I can't remember how long. Let me see. Actually, okay, so I joined in 2017. This was my junior year, 2020. Yeah, about 4 years. And all that down the drain because I decided to be an idiot and blatantly break the rules. However, because I have been a student and a coach there for a long time, I also proved how responsible I can be in terms of coaching. And after a while, they realized that they need coaches, and it was either hire random people that haven't been at the gym before or hire me back because I know the place inside and out. So I'd say maybe like a week goes by and I end up getting my job back because, you know, they realize that they need me, and all is good after that. I still always, you know, kind of had to walk on eggshells for the rest of my time there, and I kind of held a grudge because I don't think that was worth being fired over. I think maybe like a slap on the wrist or something. And I'm not kidding when I say this. I just got a text from the new owners of this gym asking if I'm interested in doing these summer camps at this job. I swear, I can read out this text right now, 5 minutes ago. Hey, Brady, do you plan to be with us during summer camp, or do you have different summer plans? I swear to God. So, yeah, the gym ended up getting sold to one of the other coaches who, you know, is so much better. Oh, so, you know, I still do somewhat work there over summer breaks when, you know, I'm not a full-time college student. That's crazy timing, though. I'm like in shock right now that I just got asked if I'm available for the summer to work at the same gym. That's Oh, also, the commercial that I made for the project ended up doing super well, and I got the best in the class and got bonus points because of that as well. A+ on the project and bonus points for being the best. I honestly think it's because I was the only one that actually cared about the project because, you know, I like making videos. But now, moving on to the second story. This is how I once got someone fired from their job. And this is actually at the same gym and with the same owner as well. And I'm going to say a lot of nice things now about this owner after, kind of complaining about them for the past few minutes. So the person that I ended up getting fired was my ex-girlfriend at the time. Ex-girlfriend as of like a couple days after as of telling this story. Dated for a couple months, and then we broke up, and this is where the story now takes place. A bit of context too. I think this was my sophomore year, so a year before the previous story. And me and this girl broke up for seemingly no reason at the time. She broke up with me and gave no explanation of why. It was just kind of like all right, I'm done, see ya type of thing. And that was kind of weird. And we met from working at the gym. We both worked at the same gym together. And so, as one does after being broken up with, you go return their stuff. However, I didn't really want to see them in person after that, if that, kind of makes sense. They didn't give any reason and kind of just ditched me. So I was like, you know what? I'll just drop off their stuff that I want to give back at the gym. I knew that they were working, this one time. So I show up like 2 hours before they were supposed to be there. And the gym that we worked at, the front of the building, it's in like a strip mall, and the front of the building is like full of glass. So you can fully see in the building. And I pull up to the parking lot and I see her car there 2 hours early. More like 3 hours early, honestly. Like, it was like really early before she had to be there. Not before she worked, but when she had to be there to set up. So very early. So I was like, oh crap, now I'm here. I gotta walk in with all of her stuff, and I gotta see her now, and blah blah blah. However, she was not alone. This is where the story gets a little juicy here. I pull up to the front, to park, and as I'm getting out of my car, I look in the building and I see that she is there with her ex-boyfriend, who is actually banned from the gym. Because before we started dating, she was working at the gym before I was working there. I was still a student at the time. And our boss, the owner, she's actually the one that set us up together. It's actually funny the way that she set us up. She came up to me, one day after class, our boss, and she's like, so how's your relationship life going? I'm like, oh, nothing very exciting, just living life. She's like, how do you feel about a cheerleader? Yes, my ex-girlfriend was a cheerleader. And I'm like, I'm not the cheerleader type, I'm not usually the one that cheerleaders go for. And she's like, oh, okay. And a couple days go by, and next thing I know, I start working at the gym, and like one of the first classes I'm with, it is with her. She pairs us, us two up together, and it goes pretty well. We start talking after that, and eventually, get in a relationship. And then 4 months go by, breaks up with me all of a sudden, don't really know why. And then I see her at the gym 4 hours before she's supposed to working, and her ex is there. Ex who is banned from the gym, like I previously said. He was not a nice guy, by the way. He was like the typical football player douchebag, like not a nice guy. There's a very solid reason on why he is banned from the gym. Very reasonable reason why. Like one of the only people ever banned from the gym. And this was when they were dating, before I was dating her. The timeline is a little, it's hard to explain. So I show up, I see through the window that she's not alone. He is there, and I'm like, oh, not only are they there together alone, but this guy who was banned from the gym is there. And so I text our boss, and I'm like, you will not believe what's going on. He's there and she's there alone before, he's banned and she's there 3 hours before she's supposed to be working. And like, this was like my revenge, I guess, for being broken up with for no reason. And it clicks too. And like the gears start turning. I'm like, this makes so much sense. She broke up with me to get back with him, but didn't want to say anything to me. So yeah, I figured it out. So then I get a text from her like a day later, pissed at me. And I'm like, I'm not the one that brought my ex who's banned from the gym to the gym before I was supposed to be working. And then I get a text from, okay, actually, no. I get added on Snapchat by the ex. And he starts yelling at me. He's like, dude, you're such an asshole. Why'd you do that? Blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm the asshole. Listen here. Listen here. I'm just an innocent bystander here. And then he texted me. I still have the receipts to this day. I still have this picture because it was just so like mind-blowing to me at the time. This is what the text he said was. I actually need to find it on my phone real quick. Give me a second. This was July 8th, 2021. This is what he sent me. He said, I dated her for over a year, and I was her first love and real relationship. You were just someone to make time go by while we were on break. That's your own fault, because her and I knew it was a joke from the beginning. So, essentially, puzzle pieces are all getting put together, and I was just somebody for her to date to make him jealous, right? Apparently it took 4 months. So as soon as he was ready to start dating, bam, bam, boom, I was dumped, and I find them at the gym together. And I know I said a lot of mean stuff about my boss before this, but the way that she handled this was like perfect. It was just so satisfying. She ends up obviously firing my ex from the gym and completely takes my side too. And she's also pissed because she was the one that set us up in the first place, you know? And for the 4 months that we were dating, we worked at the gym almost all the time because it was an excuse to hang out. Like, we were doing summer camps, and we would do like 7-hour shifts at camp and then do like 4-hour shifts for classes after. That's like 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. or something like that. And I don't think the math is adding up, but something around that line. Like, we were two very reliable employees because we wanted to hang out with each other. And now that whole thing, you know, was thrown out the drain. So yeah, she gets fired. I stay working at the gym. And then that is, you know, when the first story happens like a year later. Call me a snitch, call me what you want, but it was a very satisfying ending to that story and the relationship as a whole. She did me dirty, so I snitched. And my boss stuck up for me, which was amazing. And now the third story that I'm going to go over is my love for Irish goodbyes. If you don't know what an Irish goodbye is, let me tell you, because it is one of my favorite things. It is when you are in a group environment and you leave without saying anything. Yes, it is a very asshole thing to do. It is not kind to do. However, it's like skipping class. You know, you do it once, you feel bad, but then you're like, you know, it kind of feels good. It's like a drug. You know it's bad. You know you're not supposed to do it, but it just feels right in the moment. And I used to be very bad at doing this all the time. As soon as my social battery runs out, I'm dipping. I'm leaving. I'm not saying anything. I'm gone. And so this is a story that I share all the time. I'm going to name drop Sam again, one of my best friends. Sam, you know this story very well because it includes you. So, my absolute best friend Sam, right? He starts dating this girl, and you know, a few months in, things are going well, and his girlfriend has a friend that, you know, at the time thought that I was, you know, good looking and whatnot, and asks if they can set up a double date. And I knew who this person was, and I was like, I wasn't super interested, but you know, I was like, I'll go. You know, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'll see how it goes. You know, double date, I'm in. So we end up going to this restaurant. It was very boring. It did not go that well. Very awkward too. It really showed in that moment that double dates are kind of, it only works if both parties are in a relationship. It doesn't work if one party's in a relationship and the other is just being set up, don't really know each other and all that. So it wasn't all that. But we end up going to one of our houses after, not mine, and we end up watching this documentary called The Tinder Swindler. It was the most boring, useless documentary of all time. Like, I don't know why. This is what we decided to do after the restaurant. It was so incredibly boring. And the couch that we were all sitting on could only fit 3 people. So obviously the 2 lovebirds, Sam and his girlfriend, sat on the couch, and there was room for 1 more. Guess who didn't get to sit on the couch? Me. I was on the floor, and instead of, you know, Sam's girlfriend's friend sitting on the floor with me, because, you know, that would have been the nice thing to do, I guess. I don't know. Those 3 sit on the couch, I'm on the floor, and we are watching this incredibly boring documentary. And in that moment, I'm like, why am I here? There is absolutely no reason for me to be here. Nothing's going on. It's basically Sam and his girlfriend hanging out with just 2 people just there. Her friend and his friend hanging out. So like hours go by, right? And I'm just sitting on the floor, minding my own business. And I'm like, I could be at home playing video games or something right now. Why am I here? I'm not interested. She's clearly not interested. I'm just gonna leave. And of course, my absolute love for Irish goodbyes. I pick up my keys and wallet. I don't know how they didn't notice, but I pick up my keys and wallet, and I'm like, I'm gonna go use the restroom. I'm gonna go use the restroom. I'll be right back. I did not go use the restroom, and I was not going to be right back. I fully leave, hop in my car, I'm dipping, I'm gone, and like once I'm already back home, like 30 minutes go by, I get a text from Sam. And he's like, dude, are you okay in the bathroom? Where are you at? And I'm like, dude, I'm home. I dipped, I left. I don't think he was really mad at the time. He didn't really think anything of it. It was kind of funny to him, I'm pretty sure. Sam, if I'm wrong, leave a comment, say that you're pissed or something. I don't know. I don't remember him being mad, but his girlfriend and her friend, yeah, they were pissed. And still to this day, I go to the same college as them. It is so awkward being in the same environment as them, because Sam and his girlfriend, they eventually broke up, and her friend are still friends, and they go to the college that I'm at, and so randomly we'll come across each other, and yeah, it is just a very awkward environment to be in. I don't recommend it. So that is the consequences of Irish goodbyes. However, in the moment, it was fun, it was funny, and I don't regret a thing because there was no reason for me being there. And it is a story that I tell to this day, because to me, I think it was funny. I can get how it was kind of an asshole move. I probably should have said something, but I was just ready to be gone. I dipped. Sorry, not sorry. Wow, I have told 3 stories, and I'm only halfway done with this marketplace. This is I think it's a good reason for in the future I don't use schematics for these type of builds, because I'm just absolutely breezing through this one. Well, I guess while I have extra time, I can talk about another example of my absolute love for Irish goodbyes. And as every story in this video so far, it includes my good friend Sam, because this example takes place on a cruise vacation that me and him took a few years ago. And this ended up being one of my favorite vacations ever. Once you get to an age and you can start going on vacations with your friends, do it. So we go on this cruise together, and this is like right after COVID, when places are still, iffy about, large crowds of people. And so this cruise that we're on was only at half capacity. So a very large area with a very small group of people on this cruise ship. And so me and Sam, we decide that we are going to be social on this cruise. We are going to find if there is any people our age on this cruise. And, we have a week on the cruise. You might as well get to know people and see if you can, make some friends. Make the best of it, I say make the best of it, but it was literally a cruise with unlimited food and traveling to different places. I love cruises, by the way. So we decided to go to the kids club on this cruise because we were 17 at the time. We were right before we wouldn't be allowed to go anymore. So we go try to see if there's anybody our age that's there, and lo and behold, there was. So we get to know these people pretty well. We go around the boat, spending time with each other, hanging out, doing, normal cruise stuff. And I actually still talk to some of these people to this day. 4 years later, we're still in group chats and trying to plan a hangout now that we're all, able to go on cruises by ourselves now, if that makes sense. You have to be 21 and up to go on a cruise by yourself. So we're trying to plan a meetup, but I don't think it's going to happen because they're kind of expensive. But the way that my love for Irish goodbyes plays into this is because we spent a week hanging out with these people all the time. Became really close, and my social battery is not the best. It runs out fairly quick. And I became very known on that cruise for always saying, "Hey, I gotta go use the bathroom," and then I never come back. That's the last you're seeing me of that night. If I say I'm going to use the bathroom, I'm not coming back. Like, I remember at least one specific time when it was like late at night too. Like, it was maybe like 11 p.m. around midnight, and we're all hanging out, and I just don't want to. We're done. I'm ready for bed. I just don't want to be there anymore. And I'm like, I think this was the first time I actually did an Irish goodbye on this cruise. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll be right back. And then I just wander off, and I was at the point where like I was tired, but I wasn't like quite ready to go to bed. I know I just said that I was ready for bed, but I wasn't ready to pack it up for the night. And so I just start wandering the boat, and eventually they find me just wandering around, and they're like, "Oh, using the bathroom, right? Yeah. How come you never came back?" And since this was the first time, I was able to make up an excuse, and I was like, "Oh, I just got lost. You see, I couldn't find my way back." And then I went to bed. I was like, "All right, guys, I'm calling it for the night. I'm going to bed." But that was definitely not the first time, and the only time that was not the only time that I used an Irish goodbye on that cruise. Like I said, I was very much known for just leaving, either without saying anything or saying that I had to go to the bathroom. And I think another example of me using it on that cruise, I remember one time I was like, "All right, guys, I'm gonna go." Of course, I was like, "I'm gonna use the bathroom." And there was this lounge area on the cruise that I used to love taking naps at on this boat. Like, it was a very nice lounge area, and I remember walking past it, on my way back to my room because I was ready to call it, and I was like, "You know what? I'll just go sit for a minute. Like, I'm far enough away from everybody. There's no way they come find me. Like what are the chances that they come into this lounge room?" And this was a fantastic nap. It's one of those naps where you just put in headphones and you're gone. You're out. And I was probably gone for like an hour, maybe longer, and I wake up to just a bunch of stuff stacked up on top of me. Everybody with their phones out taking pictures, and they're like, "Oh, again, they say the same thing. I thought you were going to go use the bathroom. Funny seeing you here." And it took me a second to realize what was going on, because I had like cups and plates and like salt shakers and whatnot, like anything you can think of just in the area, they picked up and they just started stacking on top of me. Like, I wonder if I can find the picture. I mean, even if I do find the picture, I won't show it because I was out. I was slumped, and I realized after that I probably should stop disappearing without saying anything. At least on that cruise specifically. I don't really Irish goodbye anymore now that I'm so grown up and mature now. I know it's not nice, but doesn't mean it's not satisfying in the moment. Yeah, those are all of the stories that I pretty much have for now. So I'm going to do just a quick time lapse of me finishing up this build, and I will see you guys once it is done. No replay stuff or anything. I'm not going too fancy for this video, because then I would have to name it episode Terrascape episode 8 plus Storytime. No, it's just Storytime. And with that, the store marketplace is now done. And this is where I'm going to conclude the second episode of Storytime. I hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as you did with the first one. And the same rules applies. If this video gets over 100 views, then I will make an episode 3. However, I think I'm going to end up making this into a series anyway, so don't be surprised if you see another story time, because I still have lots of stories throughout my 21 years of living that will be fun to share on this channel. For the future, though, I will try to keep this a me and Snow type of series and try to keep it off Terrascape so that it's its own separate thing. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next story time. Peace out.